Folks, come outside. We're going to go to Sukkah. We're going to go to Sukkah, everybody. We just had to get out of the synagogue because you had echo. And I guess it's still out, through my phone. But we're taking everyone into Sukkah. Let's see who's there. Oh.
One lead.
And there wasn't that much to be.
The year before, Wesley said 2 years ago, the class here we last year I said back there was 600 was bad. Pretty much.
Yeah, we're just in class. I'm within the Sukkah on my phone.
And nobody's in.
Well, I'm gonna put the decorations back up here. Where I could be just.
Hey, everybody. We're
Morning.
in the Sukkah right now, and we're going to stream in just 1 second. Got everything set up.
Well, that looks good stuff.
We can hear you, Mike.
I know you can. All the tricks look good.
Everybody hears you. But
Yeah,
it's okay.
everybody hears me.
Bad. We have, we're now streaming too.
Go Yankees.
Yeah. So, Chag Sameach, everybody. We're coming to you from the synagogue and from the sanctuary. We're in both places. How can we do that? We're creating some kind of weird anomaly, space-time anomaly. No, we are on different devices. So I'm actually going to go, here I am, but I'm going to go back out in the Sukkah. And we're going to get a little reverb from my phone because my phone is also connected to the Zoom. So my phone is also connected to the Zoom. So you're going to hear me, but I'm going to use my mic and go back on there. We're going to do the blessings for everybody.
There we always mutes her mic.
So we'll let Mike do the honors of. We got Mike doing the lulav. So wait, let me get this. Gonna try to make him focus. Yeah, you do it in that way. Yeah, you're doing it. Yeah. So he's shaking the lulav. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat lulav, for shaking the lulav. So he's shaking in every direction. We got it all 4 directions and up and down. And it's a beautiful day. I mean, literally, like, gorgeous. I don't even know how to describe it. What's the weather like up there, Rosemary? It's good?
It's a little overcast right now, I think. It's cool. 56.
All right. Well, we'll give it to Mary too if she wants to. Mary's the next. We're gonna shake the lulav for those who are here, and then we're gonna go back in for the for Shir Hamalot. It's like the perfect day for us to do that. Now you can hear that I don't have very much of a voice because I went to the Dodger game on Sunday, and that'll be my last Dodger game of the season. Not because, I'm not going to the World Series. It's on Shabbos. It was very easy. Yes, I don't want to spend $1,000 to sit in a nosebleed section. Sheldon, do you want to take the lulav? Sheldon will shake the lulav. So shake it in front of you, shake it in front of you, to the right, behind you, and then to the left, and up and down. There you go. Take a smell of the etrog there. Get a little sniff there, okay? All right. So if anybody wants to have a snack.
So the Dodgers actually got into the World Series.
That's right.
In a legitimate season.
In a legitimate season, that's right. So we're celebrating that too. But if anyone wants to have a snack in the sukkah too, we're going to fulfill the mitzvah of eating in the sukkah too. So there's two mitzvahs, right? Eating in the sukkah and shaking the lulav and etrog. So we want to eat in the sukkah, just to dwell in the sukkah. We do a blessing over the food, which is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei minei mezonot, for having some bakery, some good. And then we'll do the blessing for being in the sukkah, for dwelling in the sukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu leishev b'sukkah. So we probably have a few other people that have joined us in the meantime. But yeah, this is a great time to read the Shir Hamalot. I'm going to go off of the camera for a sec, and then I'm on the phone, and I'm going to come back on in the classroom. I mean, in the sanctuary for our class. So, yeah, we're be reading.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm back.
Thank you.
Now you're on.
Oh, that's too loud. Thanks, Mike. We actually have Mike, our sound guy, here today this morning. So John's making his pilgrimage to the temple right now.
I'm here now.
We have yeah, last week we made a big mistake. We did not record Psalm 119, the discussion on that, which was one psalm. So the good news is we only lost one psalm, but we didn't stream it and we didn't record it. So we apologize we were having some technical issues, and by the time we got everything ready, that wasn't recorded. So I apologize for not having that. But we are recording, and I think I just want to check, Mike, I don't know if you checked. We are, I think, live on Facebook right now. So, yeah, we are. And we're going to, again, celebrate Sukkot by reading. We probably won't go through all of the Psalms of Ascent, the Songs of Ascent, but they begin on Psalm 120. And again, could not find a better time for us to start these, because these are psalms that pilgrims would sing when they came up. And excuse me, I also was running around. So we have now John got here. So we have a section of psalms that really is really unique, because it is a section, it is a collection. It seems that it was a collection before it was collected even into the Psalms of the 150 Psalms. So fortunately, I'm not going to talk a lot today. I'm still hoarse from the game. Actually worse today than I was yesterday. I don't know why, but it was worth it. I think.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to listen to a lot of Psalms today. We're going to read them, but we also have some wonderful musical versions of these Psalms. There are 15 of them, sorry. There's one in the middle and like 7 on both sides. And some people say that's a structure that somebody intentionally put together. We know that this structure exists in some form all the way back to the Mishnah, because they talk about the Shir HaMa'alot, the Song of Ascent, a couple of times in the Mishnah as an entity. So that's 2,000 years ago. And so even before like the final redaction and canonization, the Psalms of Ascent exist in some form. They also exist in a form, though a slightly different order, in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, the Dead Sea Scrolls have all the Psalms, don't get me wrong, but they're not necessarily in the order that we have them in the Bible. So the Song of Ascents, though, are collectively kind of together in the Shir HaMa'alot, are in the Dead Sea Scrolls in a form that we can recognize. So it seems as though this was an intentional section of Psalms, which we can't really definitively say about any of the other Psalms of why they're there together. These do seem to have been either sung by the priests at a certain time or sung by pilgrims when they came to the temple, either the first or second temple. There's a theory that these weren't collected until the second temple period, which still would have been potentially 2,500 years ago, but maybe they even go back 3,000 years as a collection. Some of them say Psalms of David. One of them says a Psalm of Solomon. But that's not the indicator of their collection, because we have other Psalms of Solomon, we have other Psalms of David. Well, we know the Dead Sea Scrolls are 2,200. They're not that much older than the Mishnah, but they are older, and they are from other Jews. They were not necessarily the rabbinic Jews, the Dead Sea Scroll community. So it means it wasn't just the rabbis who said, hey, we like these Psalms.
Not just because they're in different order, that's what.
Yep.
Are you in technical issue?
Why? I don't think so. Why? She can't get on? Oh, you know why? Because she's trying to get on. I apologize. It was not on the screen, but now it is. Sorry. Glory's in now. So yeah, I was wondering why we're missing people, and we're not missing. There's Gail. Don't worry, Gail. Glory, we have not started Psalms. I'm just doing the introduction to this section we call the Shir HaMa'alot. And as I was just saying, we are going to hear several of these Psalms today, because there are several really, really famous versions of these Psalms. Yeah, absolutely. Psalm 121, and Mike said, is one of the most famous Psalms, definitely sung in different ways. We sang it at high holidays. But this section starts with Psalm 120. So again, we're gonna take a look. They all begin with this phrase, Shir HaMa'alot, Song of Ascent. As I said, some of them say Song of, I think 3 of them say Song of David. 1 of them says Song of Solomon. But they all say Shir HaMa'alot. The next 15, all the way through 134. And it's going to include some that you really, really know. So these Psalms, I would say, are very, very well known. There's a lot of versions of these. A couple of them will stand out with lots of versions, including Psalm 121, but also Psalm 126, which is sometimes just called Shir HaMa'alot, even though all of these Psalms are called Shir HaMa'alot. These are all Song of Ascents, going up, making pilgrimage. So let us start with Psalm 120. Rosemary?
You put it up?
Oh, sorry. That is why you don't see it yet. Oh, hold it 1 sec. I will put it up. And let me just get back to Zoom. Oh, I keep making this text, keep playing with the, here we go.
Are you sounding hoarse?
Yeah, you missed my introduction. I was at the Dodger game, Gail.
Oh, okay. I'm
Well,
hoarse too, but I wasn't at the Dodger
I
game.
lost my voice being an idiot at the Dodger game.
Protesting. This is a
Protest.
Jewish day.
Yes.
Listen to the Dodgers.
Yeah, the guy sitting in front of me said, "You must have a lot of money riding on this game. What do you have, like 100 grand?" Well, he was a Mets fan, so he was not happy with me. I said, "No, I have my whole life riding on this game," which is a little bit of a exaggeration, but being a lifelong Dodger fan, it was hard not thinking of. Oh, you know what was really crazy? Speaking of Cheryl Malone, oh, this is the weirdest thing because we're going to play a version of Cheryl Malone that this guy does. Craig Taubman was sitting a couple rows behind me. So I saw him as I came in and I'm like, Craig, and he was there with his son, his dad, and his brother. It was great. So he videotaped me during the game. He said, "Mark, I thought you were going to die. I thought you were going to have a heart attack." I said, and I was with Dina, who was also going crazy. So I said, "No," I said, "Craig," I said, this is letting out some of our excitement and stress." And so he was like, "Man, I thought you were going to die." Well, he was, everybody had a good time. He left a little early, but again, most Dodger fans did not leave early. They were there till the very end. It was really, really cool. What, it looked like it? Didn't it look like people left? Oh, yeah. Oh, look, the Davis just got here. Guys, come in. You just got here just in time. We're just about to start the Song of Ascent. And we're like I said, we're going to hear a lot of them today too. So Rosemary, Psalm 120.
In my distress, I called to God, who answered me. O Eternal One, save me from treacherous lips, from a deceitful tongue. What can you profit? What can you gain, O deceitful tongue? A warrior's sharp arrows with hot coals of broomwood. Woe is me that I live with Meshach, that I dwell among the clans of Kedar. Too long have I dwelt with those who hate peace. I am all peace. But when I speak, they are for war.
Yeah, kind of an appropriate psalm for right now. This is definitely, the Song of Ascents are all very short. Well, there's one that's 18 verses, but there's 3 that are 3 verses. They're very short. So, on one hand, it doesn't seem a whole lot different than some of the Psalms that we've read before. This is about somebody who's feeling under attack. Yes, Marcia. Yeah, you missed my introduction. But it is somebody who wants peace, but it's somebody who lives amongst people who are attacking him. So, it's definitely a psalm for kind of the moment maybe that some people would feel like in Israel, but it's really about people who live amongst other people, because it says, "I live among Meshach, I dwell among the clans of Kedar." These are people who are not Jews. These are not Israelites. So this is not people living in Israel feeling under attack. These are people who are living amongst other people who are not Israelite. So, when was this written? It seems like it was written maybe after the destruction of the first temple, but we don't know for sure. There was already a diaspora during the first temple period, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's from somebody who was exiled, but it does seem like to some extent that it's from somebody who's not at home. Why is that important? Because if these are pilgrimage psalms from the second temple period, that means they weren't necessarily from the time of David and Solomon, but they were from people who, and this one, by the way, doesn't say it's a Psalm of David, but for people who believe that these go back to the time of David, it's possible, but we don't know for sure. Yeah.
Meshach was the son of Japheth,
Yeah.
right? And he's named in Genesis.
Yep.
So this goes all the way back.
Well, the origins of the people go all the way back to Genesis. But we refer, yeah, so yes, but it's not just Meshach. It's not him necessarily by himself. It's the descendants of Meshach. So anybody, when someone says, "I live with Ishmael," it doesn't mean I live literally with Ishmael. It means, because no matter what, Meshach didn't live until the time of David, right? He lived all the way back in Genesis. So it's talking about a country. It's talking about a people, a nation. So the people that were from Meshach would have been from Greece or Turkey or somewhere that was Yaphet territory, which is what they're saying. So yes, this person, but also Kedar. What does it say for Kedar? Who's Kedar? Well, it's the next name, right?
Yes,
So no, so Kedar No. So what they're talking about is somebody who lives not amongst the Israelites, not even close. This is somebody who's out in the diaspora. But again, it's probably this, during the Second Temple period. It could be First Temple, but it's somebody who's living outside of Israel. And he doesn't like it. He doesn't like the fact he's dwelling amongst those people. Again, 7 verses, pretty short. The next psalm is also very short. But this psalm, it's safe to say that millions of people know this psalm by heart. I know this psalm by heart. It's not very long. It's not very hard to remember. But it's a psalm that we associate with so much, partly because of its use in prayer, but also because we use it at funerals. It is used more in funerals, or it was used more in funerals that were Jewish funerals than Psalm 23. Psalm 23 was definitely more of a Christian usage. And it wasn't that we didn't use it first. It's not that they invented using it for funerals, but we would oftentimes do Psalm 121. I don't know if it's because, well, let's look at it and you can maybe guess why. But this psalm we're going to listen to some versions of it as soon as we read it. And we have some really nice versions. So let's take a look at Shir HaMa'alot. But we know this Shir HaMa'alot by the words Esai-nai. I lift my eyes to the mountains, or I lift my eyes, Esai-nai, the first words. So let's look at Esai-nai, and I promise we're going to hear a variety of versions of this. Here we go.
I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm and will guard your life. God will guard your going and coming now and forever.
So I guess you can say it's ironic that it's used at funerals because it definitely talks about life, right? Or, it talks about, well, it's not actually life. The word that they translate for life is your soul. So maybe it's better to translate it as soul, especially when it says, and God will guard your life, right? What does it say, Mary, in the King James? God will guard your, verse 7. Yeah. So neshama or nefesh is one of the words for soul, right? So you can understand maybe again why it's a good choice for that moment. What also to me, why it makes a little bit better choice than Psalm 23. Remember, Psalm 23 ends with the words, and the Lord shall, well, the way we translate it is, right? The last line of Psalm 23, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That's not what the Hebrew says. It says, I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of my days, le'orech yamim. Which, by the way, to me seems to indicate during my lifetime. This prayer actually says, God will be with me now and forever. Me'atah ve'ad olam. And the word olam means forever. And so to me, this psalm is more about God being with us forever than for the length of my days. And by the way, when it says I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever, everyone interprets that to be heaven. I guess people interpret that I think that's what they're saying, right? And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. People are like, oh, that's heaven. We never call heaven the house of the Lord. Beit Adonai is not heaven. Beit Adonai is the temple. Everybody knows that. And so when somebody says, I will dwell in the house of the temple for the house of God, the temple forever, it means I get to be in Jerusalem forever. I mean, Psalm 23 really seems to be written by King David or somebody who lives in Jerusalem who wants to be in Jerusalem forever, or at least for their lifetime, in the house of God. This one seems to be, I want God to be with me, and God will be with me and will guard me forever. And that means forever. That means in this world and the next world. So it's a really beautiful psalm for our lives and for beyond. God is our protection, our guardian. Definitely has that theme from the Birkat Kohanim, right? God will guard you and protect you. And it also, to me, has a beautiful feeling for right now, which is this line right here, line 4. Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael, right? The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Now, that could be interpreted, I mean, obviously, I think the literal interpretation is that's God. God is the guardian of Israel. But Shomer isn't capitalized. It doesn't have to be. I don't know, in the King James is guardian capitalized? So technically speaking, it doesn't have to be God, right? The guardian of Israel never goes to bed, right? Never sleeps. So who can it also be? Who can this also refer to?
All of us.
All of us? Yeah.
I thought of it, back when we had class after October 7 and you said you hadn't been sleeping, I thought of that line.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it applies really well to Tzahal, to the Israeli army, which, fell asleep, Somebody fell asleep at the wheel on October 7th. You can't fall asleep. I mean, that was my message last year at Yom Kippur, is that we can never fall asleep. We didn't do it. I talked about the World War Z analogy of, from the movie and the book where the Israeli explains to Brad Pitt that Israel learned after October of 1973 never to go to sleep, never to not take into consideration all probabilities. And clearly they didn't take in, because they had supposedly intelligence on what was happening. I'm sure Israel had intelligence on it, and they disregarded it or didn't believe it was possible. So, it's a caution, it's a warning. In some cases, it's a prayer, it's a hope. And it applies maybe to Tzahal, but as Rosemary said, maybe it applies to all of us, right? Maybe it applies to you and me, and that we can't sleep. We have to go to bed, but we can't lose our focus. And if we do, we better get back on it. So, yeah, it applies to the person who passes. Maybe better than Psalm 23. I mean, Psalm 23 really, I think, applies to the people who are left behind, right? When I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that's not death. That's the shadow of death. That's the fear of death. That's the specter of death. I'm surrounded by death. I'm in a cemetery. That's the valley of the shadow of death. If the valley of the shadow of death is not a cemetery, what is? But that's for the person. That's not for the person who passed away. That's for the person who's left behind. That's for the survivors. But this psalm, I think, applies maybe also to the person who passed. And that's...
Can't it indicate the process of dying?
Yeah.
Walking through the valley.
It can, but that person's already gone. In a way, when I say to somebody, and by the way, I'm not the only one, because Christians, oftentimes, I don't do it, but people do it, and like Christians do it. They do the Birkat Kohanim at a funeral. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord's countenance shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord give you peace. They say that to the person who passed. To some extent, they're using that same theme, which we use which we do have here when we say it. And again, maybe we're saying it for the person who's left behind, but we also can say it maybe for the person who passed. So maybe this psalm also is a psalm for sending somebody on their way to the next world. So let's listen to some psalms, some versions of Psalm 121. Interestingly, the most famous version of Psalm 121 is actually the one that Karlbach did. And so I'm going to play you that one because you know that one, and that one is really well known. But I'm also going to play you. I'm also going to play you other version of it. Let me give this to you. Oh, it's not coming through. This is not good. Let me do one thing. You guys aren't hearing it, are you? No, because we're not hearing it.
No.
So let me just do one thing. Let me try to share from here. Okay. It's not coming through. All right, let me do one other thing. I'm going to try to play it through Spotify.
I'm just gonna say that. And you put it on your phone with your speaker.
No, well, I should be able to do it through the computer. I want it to be, that is another great idea, but I'm going to try it through.
While you're doing that, Mark.
Yes.
I had another thought about when we were reading that song about life. And we were talking about the soul and where it carries on, but could it be the separation of the body and the soul? Because in it, it says about your life, right?
Yeah.
But then you're making reference to the soul.
Yeah, it doesn't say actually life, it says soul. It says nefesh. Yeah. 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 All right, so let's see if this works. So that version, almost, hopefully, all of you have heard that, right? Right? We sing that. A lot of people sing that. So we have a really beautiful version of that, which I thought was beautiful, that I'm going to share with you right now, that I thought was that his daughter did, Neshama did, with, and remember, this is the same version. I mean, the same melody, but sung completely different. In English. There she is, Michelle. Yeah, it's beautiful, right? Yeah, it's a beautiful version. I'll share you another one. Yeah, Central Synagogue spent a lot of money to bring in but I mean, wonderful. I mean, it's like, great. They did it, and I would love to do stuff like that too. I'm not working on Central Synagogue budgets, but no, I mean, yeah. Yeah, they're spending amazing amounts of money. I'll play you a version that I really love from Nefesh Mountain, one of my favorite bands. I've shared a lot of Nefesh Mountain over the years. This is a version of Sinai that they've done in their style, right? In a bluegrass country style. One sec. Let me bring this up for everybody. My country voice? No, it's not. They're not. They're from New Jersey, but whatever. Here's theirs.
Great version.
Stop it. I'm having a problem with this one. It's not good. Yeah. Making my computer do too many things. Okay. So there you can hear you can hear what was amazing about what you just heard was a gospel choir singing the Hebrew version, the Jewish melody, the traditional, well, not traditional, the Carlebach melody based on Hasidic sounds, with a gospel choir singing in the mode of gospel. And then you heard, a Jewish man singing in Hebrew in the mode of American roots music. The same words. So you had African Americans singing a gospel version of the Hebrew melody, and then you heard Jewish Americans singing that same word, those same words in the melody of American roots music. It's amazing. I mean, it's literally a reverse of modes in a way that it shows you how important Psalms are. That any mode, any way that you find a way to sing this, you're there's so many opportunities for us to sing Psalms that you can sing one in a melody with those words, or the other melody with those, and you can get so many beautiful sounds out of it. The words are powerful, and then we add to it musical styles that are beautiful too. You know, Judaism didn't have visual art. We were prohibited from making images by the Torah, by the laws of the Torah that say we don't make visual images. We didn't paint. We didn't do sculpting. Until the 1800s, Jews didn't do that. Our handicrafts with our hands were jewelry and filigree, you know, beautiful, you know, designs, but we couldn't paint. We couldn't do that. And once we did, I mean, we had artists like Chagall, and we had artists like Modigliani that were amazing artists, visual artists, but we didn't do that. You know, Mark Rothko. I mean, there's a lot of Jewish artists now, but there weren't. Our art was music. Our art was word. And when we can blend the two of them together, it's very special. And that's why the Psalms are so holy and so important to us. Look, we don't know the melodies for sure that our ancestors sang 2,000 years ago. We don't. I mean, that's the downside of music. It's only preserved by ear and by passing it on to somebody else. And now, of course, we have notation, and we can read, we can read what Beethoven wrote hundreds of years ago and play it, but we don't have notation from 2,000 years ago. We don't know exactly what they sounded like. That's the sad thing. I mean, if we had a picture or an image from 2,000 years ago that we did, that would be great. We don't. We have some mosaics, right? It's about the closest thing to Jewish art that we have are mosaics from Israel 2,000 years ago. But music, it has the potential to be sung differently by different people all over. And, you know, I guess some of us don't have very good voices. I don't have a very good voice right now, for sure. I'm not going to sing any psalms, but we all have the ability to do that. Not all of us can be artists, but all of us can sing psalms. And all of us, even if we can't sing them, we can read them. And this Psalm 121 is for a lot of people one of their favorites. By the way, it's only one of the Psalms of Ascent that you know, because we're going to get to the next one. Any comments or I don't want to move on if somebody has something that they want to add from Ascent. No, we don't know exactly what those instruments look like. We have them described. We have some designs that we have from Egyptian art, which we think Jews had similar instruments. So in some of the carvings that we have from Egypt, we can see instruments. And we have some from Babylonian art too. So we think we had some of those same instruments. Makes sense. But yeah, we don't know for sure, but pretty good ideas. So yeah, there's people who've recorded on biblical, they think are biblical style instruments. So let's look at Psalm 122, which also has some really powerful lines. So as I said, look, sometimes people don't sing the whole psalm. They just do the first two lines. They do Lo Yanum, Lo Yishan. The guardian of Israel never sleeps or slumbers. That was a very famous line in Israel during the war of the 67 war. Was during those times, during the 60s and obviously through the 70s, was a version of that line too. The guardian of Israel never sleeps.
Never slumbers or sleeps.
Never slumbers, never sleeps. That's a powerful, very powerful line too. So let's take a look at, I'm going to get up our next psalm that we're going to be listening to versions of, because you know this one too. Because guess what? We played this one at High Holiday, where we sang a version. We sang a version of this one at High Holidays as well. So let's take a look at Psalm 122.
I rejoiced when they said to me, "We are going to the house of God." Our feet stood inside your gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem built up, a city knit together, to which tribes would make pilgrimage, the tribes of Yah, as was enjoined upon Israel, to praise God's name. There the thrones of judgment stood, thrones of the house of David. Pray for the well-being of Jerusalem. May those who love you be at peace. May there be well-being within your ramparts, peace in your citadels. For the sake of my kin and friends, I pray for your well-being. For the sake of the house of the eternal our God, I seek your good.
This psalm is really about Jerusalem, right? Really about Jerusalem. This psalm has Jerusalem is its center. It is a psalm of David. It does say right at the beginning, a psalm of David. So we don't know for sure that it was from David's time, but it does say a psalm of David. But there's a line in that psalm that I don't know if you caught, but it's a very famous line. Does anyone know what that line is?
Pray for the well-being of Jerusalem.
Yep. And how do we know that? Where's it from? Anybody? It's from all over. Well, we say it. We say it. Jews say it. But you know who else says it? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you where this is big. Here's the Christians United for Israel, otherwise known as KUFI, big organization here in the United States. That's their logo. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. They shall prosper those that love thee, Jerusalem. There's another one. Train your minister self for ministry. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Revival focus. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Mount Hermon Baptist.
That's the title of the blue one. You know that?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
On the wall?
Do you understand what I'm saying, folks? These are not Jewish sites. Not one of these. Not one of these is a Jewish site that I can see. I don't know, 100% sure, but the ones that I see right here are not Jews. Look at that one. So these are all Christian Zionists that are putting this on their walls. They're putting it on their walls of their homes and of their church. And they're writing books with this on the front. And they are putting it on their websites. And this is not a one-time thing. This is happening every day. Every day. Now, they're doing this obviously because they love Israel, right? They love Israel. But there's another issue here too. I'm not saying it's not. And again, it's not. I know what you're saying. It's because they believe we should convert. Not with this line.
It's because they believe that the temple needs to be rebuilt.
It needs to be rebuilt. And
Yes.
look at this line, folks. Look at this line. It reminds us of Genesis, the lines from Genesis chapter 12, right? Everyone who blesses you, right? Avraham and Lech Lecha, everyone who blesses you will be blessed. Everyone who blesses you, Abraham, will be blessed, right? Everyone who blesses the Jewish people will be blessed. You bless the Jewish people, what happens to you? You get blessed. So it's a nice thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing for us, but it's also a wonderful thing for the people who do it. There's a return. Look at this. It's right there on the page. It's on our page. It's on the page of the Psalm. It's also here. The people who bless Jerusalem.
I know, Mark.
What happens to them?
Altruistic.
But what happens? They prosper. Bless Jerusalem from your house. Right? Go to your phone right now and make a donation for Jerusalem.
Prosperity gospel.
This is prosperity, folks. This is you get money back too. Pray for Jerusalem, do for Jerusalem, and you'll get it back. So it's wonderful. Like, I love the first part. There's also a reward for this, folks. This is not a joke. If you
I had
what?
an evangelical friend who once told me, she said, I tell people, God is not a slot machine.
Well, now look, the translation we have in our Bible in front of us says, may those who love you be at peace. May you be shalom. Right? Hello? Right?
Right.
May, may they have this peace. That's one translation. Did you see the other translation I just showed you? May they prosper. Now, one of them seems to be, I get to have a really nice, peaceful life. That's good. But prospering is also good for people, especially people who may not be prospering at that moment. Why am I not prospering? I'm not given enough. So there are people who literally believe that there is a return manyfold for your donation. So when people say, like, why do people do that? Why do people give? Oh, some people give because they're altruistic. They really believe that they're giving to God, that they're giving to that minister that's asking them for their money. But there are many people who believe that every time they give, they will get back tenfold. Why do they believe that? Because the minister just told them that. That's called the prosperity gospel. So when a minister says, you give to us, you will get back tenfold. That's why people believe it. They believe it because they're told it. It's not like they just made a connection. Somebody actually said to them, this will happen to you. Now, again, not everybody's doing it for that reason, but there are people who believe you do it and you get back, and you'll get back many times over. So this is an idea that there are people, millions of people. There are more people who believe this as Christians than there are Jews in this country, right? So there are more Christians that are giving to Israel right now. Some of them are given through their church, and some of that money is not getting to Israel, but some of it is, I hope, but some of it isn't. But some of it is going to Israel, and some people are given directly to Israel. There are Christians that are given to the Friends of the IDF, and they're given directly to Israel, and they believe that they're going to be blessed, whatever that means. Sometimes it means financially, and sometimes it means they'll be at peace. Sometimes it means they'll be healthy. Sometimes it means to them that they'll just feel good. Look, all I'm telling you is this isn't a joke. This is not only like real. I don't know what would happen if the Jewish people disappeared from America. It would be terrible. But right now, there are more Christians supporting Israel than there are Jews in America. That's a fact. That's a fact. Folks, there might be more Jews supporting Israel in Texas than there are Jews in, I would say California, but I'm going to say Texas. There are more Christians supporting Israel in Texas than there are probably Jews in the entire United States. I think Kufi is actually based in Texas. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they are. But I'm just saying it because it's a large state and it's a Bible Belt state. California has millions of Christians that support Israel. Church on the Way in the Valley. The churches out here actually are not as, I don't say they don't support Israel. They're not anti-Israel. They love Israel. They're not as Israel focused as like Church on the Way and some of the other churches in Orange County and some of the other churches in I mean, Santa Clarita is not as Israel, and as Israel focuses some of the Christian, some of the evangelical churches in Southern California. That doesn't mean they're anti-Israel. They're not, hardly, but it's not their focus. It's not what they're preaching about regularly. It doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't have that resonance. I don't know, whatever. Maybe it's a different demographic, a different whatever. But yeah, in Texas, Florida, Alabama, Arkansas.
Israel or more so in
John, look, honestly, John, I'm not laughing. I mean, I'm telling you, the reality is they don't care. They don't care. I mean, there's definitely a political aspect to it, no question. They feel that it aligns with their political values, more outside of maybe California, but they don't care what we say. I mean, the evangelical Christian might laugh, if they think about a Jew who hates Israel, but they don't think about it. It doesn't. Yeah, but they don't. But yes, but they don't live in that. They don't live in that. It's not in their thing. They're not. It's not something that they're thinking about because they don't care. They're going to support Israel anyways. So I mean, again, some of them might look down on it, but they'd probably say, hey, that's part of their liberal, they're brainwashed liberal, whatever they're going to say. I mean, that's what they'll say. But the interesting thing about it is that this has become so ingrained in some people's minds in a good way that, look, the one thing I will tell you that I don't like about it, and I like every aspect about it other than, I wish it wasn't a replacement theology where, again, we believe that eventually you're all going to convert, which most of those people believe. But what I don't like about it is that, and again, I don't blame them for it at all. It's not their fault. As a matter of fact, it's just created what it is. The current prime minister of Israel, Netanyahu, could care less what I think about Israel. He doesn't care. I mean, I'm sure he's happy that our synagogue supports Israel, but he doesn't care. He doesn't think twice about it. Netanyahu, fundamentally, when he's talking to Americans, he's not talking to you and I. He's talking to the evangelical Christians. Why? Because he made the decision to look at the 100 million people that are 50, 60, 70 who are hardcore Christian Zionists. And what am I worried about 6 million Jews, whether the Jews in America, whether they dig what I'm saying? He doesn't care. He made a mathematical decision. He said, I am not going to talk to, I am not delivering a message to the Jews of America. I'm delivering a message to Christian Zionists. He's made it pretty clear. When he comes to this country, he doesn't care about meeting with Jewish leaders. I mean, he will, but he'll spend most of his time talking to Christians. No, some of them are. Messianics are not usually they love Israel, but they're not concerned with that. They're concerned with Jesus. I'm talking about Christian, Bible Belt Christians who love Israel. So he's talking to those people. He actually is careful not to spend too much time with Messianics because that will really rile the Orthodox. So if he's seen with Messianic Jews, then he cuts off the Orthodox that actually vote for him. You and I don't vote for Netanyahu. The Israelis do, and he gets support and money and political power from Christian Zionists here. But yes, he will not deal with Christian Jews for Jesus people. He will not deal with them because the Orthodox there will kill him if he does that. So he doesn't. He's very careful not to do that. I mean, I think instinctively he understands that. I don't see those people, by the way, as a threat. I mean, I know I'm in a minority of people who I don't see Jews for Jesus people as a threat. I think the more threatened you are by those people, the less secure you are in your own Judaism. If you understand your Judaism, if you understand what your tradition is, you got nothing to worry about. This dude goes to church every Wednesday, right? Not every Wednesday, but
Not to church though, to the meeting room.
Whatever.
Take a class.
Whatever.
Which interestingly enough, as you mentioned about the Wednesday, we did the 10 Commandments. And when we got to remember the Sabbath day, the pastor actually said the Sabbath day is for Jews, not for Christians.
Okay, well, that's, yeah, I mean, that's what he has to tell you. But anyways, the point is that if you're secure in your Judaism, you can be around people like that, and you're not worried about, I'm going to become a Christian because I came into contact with those people. Look, I don't like it from the standpoint, I think some of it's disingenuous. I think some of it, they're preying on Jewish illiteracy, but that's on me. That I can't, my job is to make Jews literate so they're not worried about having somebody say, but you know what Isaiah says? And I want a Jew to say back, that's not what Isaiah said. What Isaiah said is this. And so when Isaiah talks about a child will be born, he's talking about the child that was just born that we know of was, King Hezekiah. That's what he was talking about, folks. So, if Jews don't know that, that's on us. That's on us as a community, and it's on the parents of that person and on whatever else. So I'm not worried about it, but I know it's like, look, I'm in a minority on that, and I'm not going to talk about that a lot. I'm not gonna preach about it. I'm not gonna make people like, what did he just say? I will, if somebody is a Jews for Jesus person, walks into the synagogue, and they have many times, I never isolate them, I never identify them, and I never treat them like they're broken. I don't. There are people who do. There are people who get freaked out by it. And I know that, and that's why I don't identify them, because I don't want people to treat them poorly. Because I don't believe we should treat anybody badly because of their religious convictions. I mean, who am I to tell somebody their religious feelings are wrong? So we don't do that. But, at the same time, I don't like people preying on lack of knowledge, because to me, that's in the same boat as conning somebody, calling them up and saying, hey, your credit card was just compromised. Can you give me your social security? That to me is a scam. And I don't like that. I think it's wrong. Tell people the truth. And again, it's their truth, but they know what they're doing. They know that the people that are proselytizing know how they're changing the meaning. And many of them do know what the answers are. And that's their belief. So they're not going to tell you the other side. They're going to tell you, I always tell people what the other side is, because that's the side. I just told you what the side of a Christian Zionist is, and that's their side. I'm not, I'm open about it. So, yeah, I'm not scared of it. And that's why I'm not scared of Christian music. I'm not scared of Christian ministers. I'm not, there's Jews that don't go to our synagogue for high holidays because we're in a church. I get it. I get it. I'm not scared of it. I feel strong enough in my Judaism and my identity that I'm like, okay. I'm just telling you, I can go anywhere. I'm going to church. I know there are a lot that are, but there are people that feel that way. Look, there's people who have that feeling. I get it. But I say to people, look, let's just be strong in who we are, and we can go anywhere. You can go anywhere.
On the flip side, I wonder if there are congregants in the church that won't come here.
Probably. There are people, there are people who probably haven't come to stuff because, if we have an interfaith event, something else, they may not come in.
And when you were taught, you're in a synagogue, you always wear yarmulke.
Mhm.
And when we went into services, that was the synagogue.
So, yeah, when it's a synagogue, it's a synagogue. Look,
So we don't have to go to synagogue. We can pray anywhere.
yeah, but we can pray anywhere. I can pray in an airplane. I have. So, look,
Going down.
no. So I'm going to play this. So this is, there's one version of actually, I just thought about it. We did not sing this at High Holidays. We sang it in between High Holidays. We sang it at the October 7th. This is a version, I'm going to play this line right here, which, look, we just spent a long time talking about Israel. To pray for the peace of Israel, right? But there's a beautiful, beautiful line here. There's a beautiful, beautiful line here, folks, which is not necessarily about Israel. Look, it's in the context of Jerusalem. Look, the line before is peace within your ramparts, peace in your citadels. They're clearly talking about the city, right? But look at this beautiful, and then the next line says, I ask for in the Beit Adonai, right? There's the Beit Adonai, the house of the eternal, our God, right? Which we said from Psalm 23, Beit Adonai. And that maybe again is a temple, but look at this beautiful line here in the middle, line 8. Leman achai v'reah. For the sake of my kin, or the sake of my, however you want to translate, my neighbors, my re'echa is the word we say, well, love your neighbor, love your kinsman as yourself, love the people there. For the sake of, here it's my achai, which is brothers, and they translate it as my friends. For the sake of my brothers and friends, I pray for your well-being. What a beautiful line, which isn't necessarily about Jerusalem. You could say that anywhere, right? Laman achai v'rai. So I pray for you, my brothers, my sisters, my friends. And this is another version of that verse of Psalm 122 that was sung by Carlebach, who loved, I put up the next one. Oh, you know why? Because I put it up the next one. I put it up on, what's it called? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do it through here. There's so many different ways to spell it. So let me see if I can share it here. Go back to this one. No, it's not coming through. Oh, wait, maybe it's this. Nope. I'm not getting sound through Apple Music. So let me try it. Try it through Spotify again. I'm going to play this version of it. It's very, very short, little bit, but it's a beautiful, beautiful little nigun. Here it is. You just never know how they're going to spell it. Here we go. And the transliteration. Here we go.
Hashem Elokeinu, Havak Shatov Lach, Leman Bet Hashem Elokeinu, Havak Shatov Lach. Join me, oh na 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 na, oh na 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 na, oh na 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 na, oh na 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 na.
Sure if he does this.
Because of my brothers and friends, because of my brothers and friends, please let me ask, please let me sing peace to you. Because of my brothers and friends, because of my brothers and friends, please let me ask, please let me sing peace to you.
So, again, he used the word brothers all the time. He called people brother. And this is a band that was that's still around, the Moshav band. Sonny's version,
חי אדברה שלום בך למען החי למען החי
So you can hear it. It's a beautiful psalm, a beautiful line, right? You know, I pray for, you know, peace for my, in the name of and because of my brothers and friends. So, you know, when we think about praying for the people around us, that line is a beautiful line for praying for other people. And you know, some of the Psalms sometimes feel like they're about me, you know, they're like, I want to be protected. I want God to protect me, like Psalm 120, the one that started it. But this Psalm has this beautiful line about, you know, other people, my brothers and my friends, my sisters, you know, my people around me, the people I care about, that I want them to be safe. I want them to feel peace. It's a beautiful line. And it's a beautiful message. And it is also in these Shir HaMa'alot. It's not just about going up to the temple. It's about praying for peace. It's praying for, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. Think about that. A pilgrimage is not just, in Judaism, it's not just about going to Jerusalem for myself. It's so that everybody else that I'm praying for will be healthy. It's praying that like everybody around me will be healthy. The people on my pilgrimage will be healthy. So let's take a look at Psalm 123. Anybody else? I mean, I'm sorry if somebody else wants to share something from Psalm 122. But again, you can see these Psalms are all very powerful, very, very deep. And they hit us because, again, for thousands of years, people who would, you know, whether they were doing an aliyah, they were going up, you know, to Israel, or they were part of the, you know, for the holidays, or just praying with people around them. They would be able to see, you know, be able to do these Psalms. So let's turn to Psalm 123 then. Here we go.
To you enthroned in heaven, I turn my eyes, as the eyes of servants follow their master's hand, as the eyes of a maid follow the hand of her mistress, so our eyes are toward the eternal our God, awaiting divine favor. Show us favor, O Eternal One. Show us favor. We have had more than enough of contempt. Long have we endured the scorn of the complacent, the contempt of the haughty.
Yeah. So you can see the Psalm, 4 lines, right? 4 lines. But look at the visuals in this, right? Look at this. Again, my eyes, right? It's like a little bit like Psalm 121. And like, look, my eyes. This is Nasati et einai, which is like Esai, I turn my eyes, right? I look over and I see you enthroned in heaven, right? So, yeah, I'm looking to you, God. Yeah.
Literal translation, line 2, as the eyes of, what's the literal translation for the next word?
Well, it's in a different, so the order, so the order of the structure, the order of this is completely different. The word order is completely different in Hebrew. So
It says in the eyes of slaves
yeah,
follow their master's hand. So then why is this different? And then the next line is, as the eyes of a slave girl follow the hand of her mistress.
yeah, that's close. I mean, that's
Why do they say servant? There's a big difference between a slave and a servant.
because in Hebrew, the word eved can be both, right? It can be either one. There definitely seems to be in this more of a slave than a servant. So the translation, what does the King James say? Okay, so that's good. So the
That's good. Why do you say that?
well, because then using servant is okay. Look, when the word shivcha here is used, the word for shivcha in the Bible is literally one of the translations. You know what it is. Rosemary knows what a shivcha is. What is it?
Sorry?
It's a handmaid.
Ah,
It's a handmaid. So when you talk about the handmaid's tale, a
mhm.
shivcha can be a handmaid. Now, that doesn't mean that she's necessarily gonna have, it's not the word for concubine, but it is a servant girl, and it's not the word for helper, it's not, there definitely is look, there's a sense, Eved can always be translated as that. And the word here is as a shivcha, it's a woman. I think if you're going to use servant, you got to use well, servant and maid. Yeah, because the word in Hebrew, and I guarantee you that's the word that they use in King James. King James definitely has mistress, right? Yeah, it has to be. There's only, it's a lot less common of a word. Geverta. Geverta is your, yeah, it's your boss. It's your master, if you will. But
Mistress isn't boss.
oh yeah,
Mistress is.
yeah, it's the woman that you are a slave who owns you.
So.
Yeah, oh, it's not mistress. It's not mistress you're thinking of a woman you're having an affair with. Not at all. No, this is the master. This could be, look, it's master and mistress. That's the translation here. That works. It's master and mistress. Now, again, look, people who had servants in a palace in the Middle Ages didn't necessarily call the people that worked for them slaves. They called them servants, handmaids. They called them, courtiers. So it could be, but Eved definitely, that's Avadim Hayinu. We were slaves in Egypt. But it definitely sometimes means a servant. It doesn't mean that you're a slave. It means you're a servant. So you can go with either translation. But the idea here, John, is that the person who's here is definitely a submissive position, and they have to do what that person, look, what's the intention of this, right? You're looking at what the direction is from that person who's giving you direction. This person says, God, I look to you like a master, and I'm the slave. So you tell me what to do. You point the direction that I go. So like, I'm looking at your hand, go, come here, point, get that. That's what this is talking about. Now you can say that's a slave or that's a servant, but the idea is I'm getting direction from you, God.
Could have used master. Right, follow the hand of her master.
Yeah, but this is definitely a feminine. The word here is Adoni, or Adon, right? And Geveret is the mistress. So yeah, that's why those should be if you use master, you should use mistress for the other one. And it's the same word, right? It's yad. It's just, literally it's as follows the hand of the master, and then the other one is hand of the mistress. It's just they translated it differently. Just for the sake of poetics. But yeah. So this one definitely does not have the sense of Jerusalem. This one is not as popular of a psalm. This one is not one that there's a lot of versions of. I'm sure there's versions that people have sung of some of these words, but this is not like one that, people sing a lot, Psalm 123. So I don't have a version of that I'm going to play for you, but we're getting to some. And again, we're not just reading this week. Next week, we're going to read the second half of it, because remember, it goes all the way to Psalm 134 and Psalm 133, which we won't get to today. You really know, because that's Hine Matovu Manai,
You know, the last,
which has probably more versions than anything. Yeah.
the
Yes.
last para,
Yeah.
that's pretty powerful. We have endured.
Yeah.
We've had more than enough to attempt.
Yeah.
Right, long enough have we endured the scorn of the complacent.
Yeah.
And the haughty.
Yeah. Those are, the word complacent is used there. What is the King James? I'm sure the King James doesn't have the word complacent. What's the scorn of the haters? No, it doesn't say haters. Oh, that's good. That's interesting. That's the proud. That's the translation of haughty. Haughty. What's interesting about that is there's an understanding here that it's it's really good. It's a great line, because it's saying we've been disliked by both kinds of people. The ones who don't really think.
Don't believe God, and the ones who
Yeah.
haughty.
You could say that. You could say that too, right? You could say those who don't believe and those who believe so much, right? The ones who, right? The ones who are atheists and the ones who are quoting the Bible, right? Right? That's a good one. How about the ones that are complacent, right? How about the ones that are going with the masses, right? The masses, right? The mass of people, the mob, but also the elite. We've been hated by the mob, the pogroms, right? The mob of people at a college campus that don't think. They're not thinking. A lot of those people weren't thinking. They were just going around with their friends. Why am I going to this rally? Because my friend took me. I heard that so many times. I don't know what I was doing. I was going with my friend. Hey, we've seen that before. Those were people that were hating on us. And then who else was hating on us? The people in the ivory tower, the elite, the professors, right? How about that one? The complacent and the haughty, right? That works too. Yeah. It's an interesting one, because you do see it. Thanks for pointing it out, John, because however you translate that, because that one doesn't really show that, but it is both sides, right? It doesn't matter if it's just, like people would just go, oh, well, those people hate us. No, we've been hated by that. So you could also say, we've been hated by the left. We've been hated by the right. Now, that doesn't quite work here, because it's not one, you wouldn't say, well, I guess depending on what side you're at, you either say one's complacent or one can be haughty. But yeah, it's everybody. You can get out from both sides. But it was that sense. And if you were a Jew living in the 1800s, like our ancestors lived in Poland and Russia, and the czar hated you, and the church leaders, the prelate and the primates and all the guys in the Orthodox Church hated us. The guys with the fancy jewels, icons, and then the masses, the Cossack peasants hated us. So, yeah. So this is a very, very true statement, because it is both sides. You don't see it so much in the complacent and the haughty, but yeah. However you're going to try. How did the King James translate it again?
Of those that are at ease and with contempt of the proud.
Yeah, the one at ease is I'm not wild about that translation, only because it definitely could be people who are at ease, but it definitely seems like the people who complacent is actually probably a better translation. It captures the meaning of it, which again, excuse me, a lot of times the JPS translation does kind of capture the essence of it, and not maybe not even the literal translation, but what's the spirit of it? What's it really trying to say? Yeah. The people who don't think and the people who overthink. The people who make rationalizations, and then the people who won't even think about it. Yep. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, John. That's a good one for now. No, the forest children, that's a good one. No, this is two, but yeah, you could say these are the two extremes, right? Which, by the way, is somewhat of a structure of those four children, is that two of them are on one side and two of them can be set on the other one, right? The one, yeah, it's an interesting structure. Yeah, but again, look, this works not just for Israel. This works for lots of things. This works for lots of things. The people who don't think, the people who think that they're smarter than everybody, the ones who've actually never worked before, right? The haughty, the people who've never done an honest day's work, and then the people who are working and don't want to think about anything. Yeah, it's true. Works for a lot of things. Definitely works for Israel. Definitely works for the Jewish people. And again, I think John's point is also, we've done it. It's been enough years. We've been here long enough, right? Don't need it anymore. So let's look. So that was a very short psalm. That's 4 verses. Let's look at Psalm 124.
Were it not for God who was on our side, let Israel now declare, were it not for God who was on our side when others assailed us, they would have swallowed us alive in their burning rage against us. The waters would have carried us off. The torrent would have swept over us. Over us would have swept the seething waters. Blessed is God, who did not let us be ripped apart by their teeth. We are like a bird escaped from the fowler's trap. The trap broke, and we escaped. Our help is the name of God, maker of heaven and earth.
Yeah. Now, this psalm too is not necessarily one that we see a lot of versions of, but this is also like the previous psalm that we just read, definitely one of those psalms of survival. And it doesn't, it's not an individual survival. It's us. It's our lives. And again, it really kind of sums up a lot of Jewish history, which is that we survive things that we shouldn't have survived. Logic tells us that with all of these people, all these things that came against us, that we survived.
Still around.
Yeah.
This explains why.
God did not let us get ripped apart by their teeth. And those are the words. It's almost like, again, they're a wild animal. So they're compared to hunters that trap birds, right? Which is, trapping them in a net. You're trapped in the net, but we got out. We were trapped. That's what it says, right? We were trapped. We were trapped, right? Oh, sorry. The trap broke and we escaped. Like, we got out. We were caught. We were caught and we got out. But again, even in the jaws, like we say, the jaws of death, we were being ripped apart. Yeah, but we didn't die, we were in the jaws, but we didn't get ripped apart. So this is, again, psalm that not a lot of musical versions to it. I mean, how are you going to sing, I was in someone's teeth and didn't get ripped apart? It's not really lends itself to music, but people definitely have this sense of being, we survived. And as a group, not an individual. Now, that's been kind of the message for the last few psalms. Survival, Jewish survival, which is interesting because these are pilgrimage psalms. These are psalms that people would have sung when they went up to Jerusalem. Now, again, if they were written during the time of King David, I guess you could say they could apply to other situations that the Jews had dealt with in Egypt and the Philistines, those kind of things. But there definitely seems to be a sense like this is from the Second Temple, which is that we were almost gone. We were caught. We were done, but we didn't. Now, look, we know there's some psalms that were written during the Second Temple period. We're going to read one, not this week, but probably next week. Psalm 130, when we get to Psalm 137. But what's interesting about these psalms is that these were sung when we went up to Jerusalem to remind us to some extent of how precarious our existence has been. And you can understand why when Jews go up to Jerusalem today and we sing these psalms, and there are Jews that literally will sing these psalms as they go up. And, you know, it's you know, it's a decent amount of psalms, but it's not that much text, right? It's 5 lines, you know, this last one was 4 lines, right? So it's not like it's very long. If you say, I'm going to do these 15 psalms, it's not going to take you that long. But there are people who do this as they walk up to the wall in Jerusalem, as they come up the hill, they'll start doing the Shir HaMa'alot as they're going up. Because again, you do ascend to the temple. There were traditions that, again, maybe the Kohanim said this as they walked up the temple steps, that every step they would walk up, they would say another psalm. But again, it definitely is appropriate for people as they're coming up to the temple to sing the song of ascents. So we're going to read Psalm 126 now. Sorry. Psalm 125.
25?
We did not do 125 yet. I will tell you that we are going to be taking a trip to Israel at the end of January to help out in the mitzvah calling that we have to help out in Israel. We're doing a volunteer trip. We're going to help out the Shuva Junction, serving meals and giving supplies to people as they're going into Gaza. And we're also going to be helping out the kibbutzim, helping to rebuild and helping to support the people there. We're going to be visiting Sderot. We're also going to be visiting Nova location. And so this is a week-long trip. And we're going to finish the trip in Jerusalem. And we're going to go up a path that just opened up last year after we went. It's a path that's called the pilgrimage path. And it's just opened. And what it was the original pilgrimage path that took people up to Jerusalem. We uncovered it in the city of David, and now it's been open to tourists. The excavations, the archaeologists were there for a couple of years, and now it's been open. So we're going to go up the pilgrimage path and be able to say these psalms as we go up the pilgrimage path in the Shir HaMa'alot. So that's where the trip is going to finish. We're starting in Tel Aviv, just gathering everybody together, and we're going to Beersheba to help out in the south. And that we never stayed in Beersheba. I've never taken a group like this before. We've never stayed in Beersheba, but that's because we're going to be by the kibbutzim. And we're by Sderot, because we're going to go to Sderot and meet the mayor of Sderot, and then see what's going on in Sderot in the rebuilding of that city, because that's a city. That's a city of 70,000 people right on the border of Gaza, literally right across the wall from Gaza. All right, so this is Psalm 125, also the Song of Ascent.
Those who trust in God are like Mount Zion that cannot be moved, enduring forever. Jerusalem, hills enfolded, and God enfolds this people, now and forever. The scepter of the wicked shall never rest upon the land allotted to the righteous, that the righteous not set their hand to wrongdoing. O good, do good, O Eternal One, to the good, to the upright in heart. But those who in their crookedness act corruptly, let God make them go the way of evildoers. May it be well with Israel.
So this combines some of the ideas we've read before, which is that people are trying to attack us, and this question of, again, how important is Jerusalem to us? Zion will not be moved. Mount Zion will not be moved. It endures forever. And look at it. It's enfolded by mountains, right? The hills enfolded. And those mountains that surround Jerusalem are like the way God enfolds, wraps around us. That's a beautiful image. It's an image that reminds us of Jerusalem, even when we're not there. So this is definitely a psalm of Jerusalem, unlike some of the other psalms that are part of the Shir HaMa'alot, that like the previous one, that doesn't seem to necessarily have to be about Jerusalem. But this does combine the ideas of the previous one, which are that people are attacking us. but they won't succeed, right? They won't succeed. So when it says that, the scepter of the wicked, we're not gonna leave. So it has both of those themes. Now, when people want to understand, where is, like, for people who don't understand Zionism, who don't understand what that means, understand that for thousands of years that the Jewish people didn't get to call Jerusalem their home. They still said this. The Shir HaMa'alot are arguably the most famous Psalms that we have. I mean, even more famous than for us than, the Hallel and these Psalms, the ones that we've been reading the last few weeks, are the focal points of the Psalms that we sing. This is the Zionism that our people held on to for 2,000 years. The idea that the hills of Jerusalem are going to surround us like God's love. Do you understand that if you say that for thousands of years and you live in Turkey or you live in Russia or if you live in South America or wherever Jews lived, that they said that? The hills of Jerusalem are going to surround me. That was part of the prayer, was part of the hope. Shir HaMa'alot, people would say these psalms in their homes, wherever they lived, thinking about Jerusalem and imagining Jerusalem, never seen a picture of it. They didn't have pictures, they didn't have cameras, they didn't have video. They brought it into their minds and said, whatever mountains could look like, they imagined Jerusalem. And we're lucky enough to be able to go there. Come on. When you think about that, the kind of, every night we can go to sleep. We can have videos of the hills of Jerusalem around us. And, it's not like, this is something that, is difficult, is difficult to do. It's whether when you go out of, you go out of the Holocaust Memorial at Yad Vashem, the first thing you see are the hills of Jerusalem. And you go out and you realize that, even in the darkest times that Jews dreamt about, being able to go out and see this, in their minds, that they would see, the hills out in front of them. So.
Can you do me a favor?
Yep.
Line 1 and 2, 3, and 4, right? Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, right?
Yeah.
That cannot be moved. Right?
Yeah.
It can't be moved.
Yep.
They're enduring forever, right?
Yeah.
Jerusalem's hills unfolded. So, Mount Zion, I know we studied and all that, but I remembered it, so I'm, kind of cheating here, and there's 3 places, right? But it really seems like that's where the Temple Mount is, right? The Islamic.
Yes.
So.
That may be, that Mount Zion may not be where the Temple Mount is. It could be next to where the Temple Mount is. It doesn't, we don't know for sure when they're talking about Zion, Mount Zion, we're not 100% sure that they're talking about, we're not sure that they're talking about where the temple was. Like people, yes. And so people, look, what's interesting is that Har Zion, Mount Zion, it's under Jewish control. It's not, the Temple Mount technically is under Jewish control. We let Muslims pray there, but everybody knows it's under Jewish control. They know it's under Jewish control. That's one of the things they don't like. But come on, look, what does that mean? And where is that place? When Israel was established as a country, the name Israel was not 100% going to be the name, right? Some people thought it should be called Judah, New Judea. Some people thought it should be called Zion. And we're going to call it Zion, the whole country. Not the city of Jerusalem, not Har Zion, the whole country. We're going to call it Zion. What do we call the belief in Israel? We don't call it Israelism. We call it Zionism. Think about that. We don't call it Judea. We can't call it Judaism because that's our religion.
Islam is there before Christianity.
Yep.
So why is there debate?
I mean, the question of what does that mean to us, that's an interesting, question. It's not one that, again, I'm as preoccupied with, because rather than fight over the actual Temple Mount, I'll say, look, you can go, I actually said it on our trip. I said, look, we were at the top of Mount Scopus looking down at Jerusalem. And I said, look, the Temple Mount is there. There's a mosque there. You can have that. I don't care, because we got everything else. To me, Israel is every other square inch around that. And that's the Holy Land. To me, okay, look, the Temple Mount is not holy to me because there's a mosque on it. It's not holy to me. I didn't say it's bad. I didn't say it should be blown up. I didn't say it's evil. I just said it's not mine. It's not my thing. It's beautiful. I'm not saying it's ugly. It's obviously, it's a symbol of Jerusalem. But I don't worry about it. I don't worry about those.
Many years did we not able to get to that area?
Yeah, look, the question is to me, I take it as a sign of pride that we are the first people to ever control the Temple Mount and not make it ours. Because every other people that ever conquered it, right? The Muslims, when they conquered it, there was a church there at the time that they conquered it. They knocked down that church and turned it into a mosque. The Christians took down really nothing because the Romans destroyed it and there was nothing there. The Jews never rebuilt the temple. So the Romans destroyed it. The Christians technically built it knowing that the temple was there, their church that they built there. But it wasn't a big church for them. That basilica that they built there was not the main church. The church that they revered was the church of the Holy Sepulchre where Jesus was. The temple wasn't their focus. But I mean, they wanted it because it showed that now this is the time of Jesus. But the Muslims established the Dome of the Rock there, and it became a Muslim site. So that goes back to the 700s, 750, so it's been there. And then, of course, when the Christians came in, they made it a church again. So we're the first people to ever come in and say, we're not turning it into technically speaking, the British could have done that. I mean, there was not much talk about that, but there was a little bit. There was some talk about British nation becoming another crusade. There were some British Christians who said, let's make a church there on the Dome of the Rock. There were not a lot. It was not a big plan. You won't find that in the history books. But they controlled it from 1919. Technically, they could have made a church there. The British. So I do want to say, we take pride in it because we've controlled it for 7 years, and the British didn't necessarily know whether they wanted to have long-term control of it anyways. Almost immediately, we know the white paper came out. They started talking about what to do with it, but and part of that, what to do with it, was turning it into a Jewish country. By the way, the Balfour Declaration, said it's going to be a Jewish country. But regardless of what the British did with it, they didn't turn it into a church. And so technically, they captured it in World War I and didn't do that. We also captured it. Jordan had control of it, yes, from 47 and 67. For 20 years, they controlled it. And they did not, 48 to 67, and they did not turn it into more of a mosque because they're Muslim and they were already had a mosque, so they had nothing to do. So yeah, we're the only people that have controlled it for a long period of time and not turned it into our thing. But, I take pride in that. I say, look, we understand that God is bigger than a building and bigger than that site. And so to me, it's an affirmation that everything around it is our holy land.
Small physical sacrifice.
Yeah,
Some semblance.
And you just said the word, it's a sacrifice. What's our sacrifice? The temple itself, right? That's a beautiful way. That's a beautiful way of saying it, right? What is our sacrifice? We don't make a sacrifice at the temple anymore. We sacrifice the temple. You can put that down, John. It's the sacrifice. It's the sacrifice. So we don't, and by the way, right? We don't want it as a temple anymore because then we'd have to have a sacrifice there. Then we'd actually have to have animal sacrifices there. So I'd rather not. And we have to have priests, and I'd rather not have priests again. So
We'll have to sacrifice vegetables.
yeah, that's what Maimonides said. We'd only offer up grain sacrifices at the third temple. The Rambam said that. All right, so we're going to finish today with the psalm that everybody sings, because Shir HaMalot is all the psalms, but this psalm in particular is called Shir HaMalot. So when people say Shir HaMalot, technically it's all the Song of Ascents, but this psalm, Psalm 126, is called Shir HaMalot. Technically, the first lines would be Beshuv Adonai, when God restores the fortunes of Zion. Now, all I've said to you up till today, to this moment today, has been about how these are about the Song of Ascents, that this is about, to some extent, people would say this is about Jerusalem. All of them. This psalm is really about Jerusalem. And what's interesting about this is that some of you might say, oh, of course, this is a psalm that we've started singing in the last 76 years because we have Jerusalem again. And again, we had outer Jerusalem in 1948, not the inner city, but the old city, the outer city. No. We have been singing this psalm as a major part of our day, every single day of our lives for over 2,000 years. Because this psalm is traditionally said before the Birkat HaMazon, before the blessing over meals. And it's traditionally said when we come to a time in our lives where we're feeling joyous and we want to sing a psalm of joy. We sing Shir HaMalot. This is not a modern Zionist fantasy. This has been the reality of what we've been thinking about for thousands of years, literally saying this psalm every day. So let's look at this one.
When God restores the fortunes of Zion, we see it as in a dream. Our mouths shall be filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Then shall they say among the nations, God has done great things for them. God will do great things for us, and we shall rejoice. Restore our fortunes, O Eternal One, like watercourses in the Negev. They who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. One who goes along weeping, carrying the seed bag, shall come back with songs of joy, carrying the sheaves.
Wow. Right? What do you say about that? What can you say about that psalm? Look at that, right? So that psalm, those lines have been fulfilled. Those psalms have been fulfilled. They've been fulfilled. God restores the fortunes of Zion. We see it as in a dream. The dream of the Jewish people to be able to return to their home, right? That's Hatikva. That's the national anthem, which is interesting because the national anthem affirms that that was our dream, even though now it's the reality. By the way, how does that song end? Be'eretz Sion v'Yerushalayim. It doesn't say Eretz Yisrael, the Yerushalayim, right? It doesn't say the land of Israel and Jerusalem. It says Eretz Sion, Yerushalayim. What do you think Natalie Hertzimber thought the country was going to be called? He didn't think it was going to be called Israel. He didn't know. He thought the country would be called Zion. And that's why we call it Zionism, because there were so many people who thought it was going to be called Zion. But look, in our Psalms, they didn't refer to it as Israel because They didn't refer to their country as Israel because they were from Judah. They were from the tribe of Judah. They were from the people of Israel, right? And so we very rarely have the words Eretz Yisrael. We have the words Bnei Yisrael, right? The children of Israel. We have Israel, sometimes just Israel. But during the Psalms and during this period, however long this was, the word Zion was used over and over again. And again, John pointed out, technically it's a mountain. Not sure which mountain it is, but we're sure that it's a mountain in Jerusalem. But you can see the return of Zion, the return to our land was a dream. And when we do, right, we're going to be happy. We're going to sing songs of joy. And then the other people, the Goyim, will say God has done great things for them. Higdil Adonai la asoti mele. God's done great things for us. And then the Gentiles will say, the Goyim will say, God's done great things for them. Folks, didn't we just talk about Christian Zionism before? The Gentiles out there who say God has done miracles for the Jewish people. That hasn't happened? It's happening millions of times. Every day, there are Gentiles that are going around. And again, the word Goyim does not necessarily is not a pejorative. It's not always a negative. Here it's clearly, again, not a negative. It's translated as nations. It doesn't say those Gentiles. It says, other peoples will say, God has done great things for them.
Well, why is there such a problem with the whole Zionist movement?
Because we're allowing people to turn it into a dirty word. So we better not let that happen, folks.
Simple terms right now.
Yep.
And it applies to exactly what you just said. An international movement originally for the establishment of a Jewish national or religious community in Palestine and later for the support of modern Israel.
Yep.
I mean,
That's it. That's it. And what was interesting is that, again, we have.
Well,
By who?
I can't answer that question right now.
Self-hating Jews.
It's not just. So we have a problem.
No, it's a problem. Yeah.
We have a problem that sometimes we don't, again, rejoice.
I know, that was good.
Higdil Adonai la sodi manu, right? God will do great things for us and we should rejoice. We should be happy. And so, look, the hard thing is that, there are people out there that are not making it easy to be happy, right? They're not making it easy for us. But that's why, what's the word sameach, right? It means happy. Simchat Torah is coming up on Thursday, 2 days from now. This is going to be for us a joyous day. We're not going to be sad.
Because we're going to drink.
We are going to drink. We are going to drink. We're going to drink. We're going to be happy. And we're going to do it in honor of the people who died on Simchat Torah last year. Yeah. So understand that was the day that was chosen as the attack on our people, was Simchat Torah. That was the day. But we are going to dance and we're going to sing in their honor and in the honor of every Jew for 2,000 years who said these words every time they ate a meal and dreamt about Zion. They saw it in a dream. So I don't want to get too heavy, but that's pretty heavy. So I'm going to play you a version of Shir HaMa'alot now that I really love, that you've heard. We've done it before. It's a great version. It's Craig Talman's version. Craig Talman. Right? I was at the Dodger game on Sunday, and Craig was sitting 2 rows behind me, right?
You didn't know he was going to be there?
Did I tell you this? I told this guy. Craig was sitting 2 rows behind me.
Know that?
No, he just came in. He happened to be sitting there. He was with his dad. I know he's not watching right now. I hope not. He was sitting with his dad and his brother and his son. It was great. His whole family. I had Dina with me. So we were sitting there and we started talking. I was like, hey, we're here celebrating. It's a good time to celebrate. How was your holidays? Catching up a little bit on the last guy. I talked to him about a month ago. And remember, Rick works with him. Rick Lupert does a lot of work with Greg. So, we have that in common too. But So during the game, he says to me, Mark, I think you're gonna have a heart attack. And I said, no, I'm having a lot of fun. This is what we came here to do. We came here to celebrate. And so he was like, man, you're gonna lose it. And I go, yeah. But so it was funny. And so he left. When he left, I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here till the end. So we had a great time. It was funny seeing him. And then sure enough, a couple of days later, here I am playing you his version of Shir HaMa'alot, which it's been used a lot, and it's been used by people of a lot of different synagogues. Just a beautiful melody. It's really not. It's used. It's used on Shabbat. It's used in different. It's used. You'll recognize it right away. But let me make sure I'm sharing. Yeah, I'm sharing.
And the words that they used were stressful and exhausting.
Yeah, it was exhausting, but it was fun. I'm not gonna complain.
Okay.
I'm gonna not play the. Play a little bit into it.
That's a perfect one right there.
Yep. So I'm going to play you another version of Shir HaMa'alot, which is again a little bit more traditional. Let me play. Well, this is really traditional. I'll play you this one. This is traditional Chazanut. 1 second. Rosenberg. So that's Yosel Rosenblatt, who was considered one of the greatest cantors of the kind of the 1920s and 30s. He was the guy that everyone wanted to hear, was him. Here's a little, well, that's where Yosel Rosenblatt was the precursor to Jan Pierce. Oh yeah. Jan Pierce was walking in his. So you can hear that part, kind of a choral arrangement, right? There's some very, very famous lines. I want to finish just with this. There's a beautiful line. there's a line right here, folks, that I want you to just finish with today, which is a great line. Which has also been turned to music, and that's the last music we're going to finish with. This line right here. Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy, right? Right?
Sure.
It's a beautiful line, right? It is
You're open for that, right?
what?
The experience.
Yeah.
To get through your tears, to get to your joy.
But think about how powerful that line is, right? Because I mean, it's one of the most beautiful lines in literature. Because what is watering your crops are your tears. What's watering your tears? In sadness, you had to plant, right? It didn't look good. But when you reap, you're reaping with joy. It's such a powerful line, like so powerful. It's such like powerful use of language and imagery. It's not just, again, look at the planting. You're sowing, you're reaping. You're sowing in tears, you're reaping in joy. So I'm going to play you a version of this that some of you have heard. We've played it before. Again, I apologize. I do not know why I don't know why the Apple Music isn't working, because I do pay for that. Now I use it all the time at home. That's what we use for our playlist. So this is a version of it that was sung by Debbie Friedman, and it's one of my favorite Debbie Friedman songs. And it's a great message to go out to. If times seem tough now, they're not going to always be tough.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. It's the song of the dreamer. From the dark place it grows, like a flower in the desert, the oasis of our souls. Come back where we belong. You who hear our longing sighs, our mouths, our lips are filled with song. You can see our tear-filled eyes. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
All right, folks. With that, we're going to say Chag Sameach to everybody. We'll say happy holidays to you. And if you have not had a chance to shake the lulav or smell the etrog, we'll do that. I'm tearing up now, not for sadness, but for joy. So, what? Yeah, it's gotten better. Tomorrow I'll be back. It was worth it.
Are you going to the?
I'm not going to any World Series games. No, it's on Shabbos. So pet service is going to be Saturday. We were waiting for the Dodger schedule. I wasn't going to compete with them if they were doing it at 12, but we're going to do it at noon. We're going to do it at 12. Yeah, I thought it was, but then somebody said it was going to be at noon. I'm like, and they didn't announce it until yesterday.
Yeah.
They announced that it's going to be 5 o'clock. I would have thought, but I'm telling you, people said it was going to be 5 o'clock Friday and 12 o'clock, 12:08 Saturday. And obviously they're not competing with football either. They didn't want to They didn't want to put it on the
Two
weekend.
questions for you.
Yeah,
One of them is Sukkot.
yeah.
I had an MRI on Friday,
Oh,
and they
wow.
told me, I'm gonna go back in for more knee surgery, but they told me that the radiologist was a doctor and that he wasn't gonna be reading my results.
Yeah, because he's the hog. The hog starts tomorrow.
So, yeah, I didn't.
You're
know.
technically, you don't work on those
There
days,
you
yeah.
go. That's what I was trying to figure
Yeah,
out. And
yeah.
so when do you go back to work? Because I'm still waiting on my results to my.
Well,
MRI.
some people don't go back on Friday. Some people will, it starts Wednesday night, at last 2 days. Some people don't go on Simchat Torah, some places do. Like, so the cemeteries are open on Friday, they're not open on Thursday.
So, but this was last
Yeah.
Friday. So does it?
First
affect-
2 days and the last 2 days. So Wednesday night through Friday.
I should hear from him this.
Yeah, but yes, for Jews who practice observant on the Torah, yes,
I remember hearing this.
they're not doing it, but some people will work on Simchat Torah.
I was driving home on Friday and I flipped on K-Hits radio for whatever reason I flipped it on. And there was a minister from Tennessee being interviewed. Are you aware of this? Oh my goodness gracious. He went on and on and on about the Jews and that we are the devil and.
On case, yes.
Yes, K-Hits. And I turned off the car and ran in the house and I put it on my Alexa. I'm like, Tim, wait, you've got to hear this, but I don't know the guy's name.
All right,
I
let me-
wanted to go back.
Let me check it out, but thank you for telling me.
Oh,
All right, folks, we'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow night or on Thursday night, 6 o'clock or 7 for Simchat Torah. All right, or Saturday for pet service. Bye, everybody.
yeah, because.
Take care.
Goodbye,
Everybody.
thank you.
Thanks, Rosemary. Bye-bye.